Excellent. Welcome back. Preparing for algebra. We're on page 103, and my name is Susan. Welcome. So, multiplying fractions, you multiply the numerator by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So in the example, 1/4 times 1/4 equals 1/16. 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 4 is 16. And you see on the next problem down, 1/2 times 1/3. And you can look at all multiplication like this, especially with fractions. If you've got 1/2 of, which is a times symbol, 1/2 of 1/3, you'll get 1/6. So 1 times 1, 1, 2 times 3 is 6. And the reverse engineering, if you had 1/2 of 1/3, right? Which means if 1/6 plus another 1/6 is 2/6, in fact that is 1/3. So it's just another way of looking at the numbers, but simply put, it's numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. Okay? All right, let's get into this section. Page 104. So we're going to start multiplying more fractions. Now this page is critical because again we're using the concept of a whole number, but I want you to think of that whole number as a fraction. It's two wholes. 2 ones, 2 over 1. And that will be important, certainly important, as we move towards dividing fractions with reciprocals. And we'll get to that in a page or so, I think. So to multiply whole numbers by fractions, remember the whole numbers have that 1 as a denominator. 2 is the same as 2 over 1. After that, it is just the same as multiplying with any other fraction. So remember this is really important, okay? So 2 times 1/2, 2 over 1 equals 1 over 2, right? 2 times 1, 2, 1 times 2, 2 equals 1. Any number over itself is 1. Two halves, right? So you got a whole thing that's got 1 and 2, and they're both highlighted. The circle has two parts of 2, which is a whole, 1. Okay, so go ahead and reduce and simplify these next problems. Remember 5 over 1, 5 times 2, 1 times 3. Okay, and we'll go on to the next page, 105. All right. Page 105, you can really start seeing how math starts piling onto each other and why lots of students get lost because they haven't remembered how to do the mixed numbers when we're now going into multiplication of mixed numbers. So it all feeds onto itself, right? So in order to multiply a mixed number, we have to translate them into an improper fraction, like we had done before, okay? So 4 1/2, the mixed number, take the denominator, 2, multiply it by the whole number, 4, plus the 1. So 2 times 4 plus 1 is 9. 9 halves, as you can see here. The next one, 3 1/4. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 13 fourths. Now it's just straight multiplication. 117 over 8, and 8 divided by 117 is 14, with 5 left over. 14 5/8. Okay, good luck with the next section. Keep going. Remember, you're changing those mixed numbers into improper fractions, just like we did in the example. Just stick with the example and learn these. Page 106, more fraction division. Okay, so dividing fractions has a trick. You take the second fraction, flip it over, take what we call its reciprocal, and then multiply it to the very first fraction. It's a simple trick, you just have to memorize this. So 2/3 divided by 3/4 turns into 2/3 times 4/3. And then you just multiply straight across, okay? In division, you're still multiplying, again, as I said, but by its reciprocal, a flipped fraction. Say that 3 times. So how do you represent a whole number as a fraction? You guys remember this? You put the whole number over 1. So the denominator 1 the numerator is that whole number. And all you need to do is take that number and turn it over. So a 7 becomes 1/7, right? 1/3, first problem, 1/3 becomes 3. So if you've got 10 divided by 1/3, you're going to have 10 times 3. And that would be 30. Okay, so go ahead and do the rest of these problems, and I'll see you on the next page. Page 107, we're going to do some more practice with fractions and division, okay? So remember to multiply the second fraction with its reciprocal. And then the little bubble question here is, what is the difference between 2 and 2 over 1? Or you call it 2 divided by 1, right? How does this help you solve these problems? Let's go ahead and look at, well, any of them really. So the first one, 1/2 divided by 6. So 1/2 times the opposite, 1/6, equals 1 times 1, and 2 times 6, 1/12, right? And all these problems are exactly the same. Just solve them exactly the same way, okay? Wait on, and we'll move on to page 108. Excellent. We're on page 108 with a kind of a proof to prove to you that this reciprocal method does work. We're going to take this really simple problem, 10 divided by 2. So 10 divided by 2 we know is 5, right? Well, you know your simple division, you know your multiplication. And this is how it looks if we're doing it as fractions. So 10 over 1 divided by 2 over 1. 10 over 1, or 10 divided by 1, times 1/2, the reciprocal of 2, equals 10 divided by 2, or 10 halves, equals 5. So I'm going to let you go ahead and simplify these next 6 problems. And yeah, definitely keep up the good work. This is really awesome. Knowing this is just so helpful in algebra. You'll see. Page 109, as promised. Now we're going to divide by mixed numbers. Again, it's just this simple step-by-step. Just stay neat and tidy, which is harder to do than say. Most of the time it is for me anyway. Favorite mistakes are in the back of the book. We talked about it a little bit in chapter 1, and messiness is by far my favorite mistake, and I do my best to stay organized, but here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our mixed numbers, we're going to turn them into improper fractions, okay, just like we would with addition, for example, or multiplication, and then we're going to take the second improper fraction, turn it on its head, reciprocal, and then multiply them straight across. So there's multiple steps here. All right, let's go through the example together. So 3 1/4 divided by 1 2/3. So 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. 13/4. Change this one as well. 3 times 1 plus 2 is 5/3. That now is a division. Now we're going to change it into a multiplication problem. 13/4 times the reciprocal of the second fraction, 3/5 equals 39/20. 20 into 39 goes one time with a remainder of 19. So 1 19/20. Go ahead and solve these next 6 problems. And as I say at the very bottom, use all the extra space necessary to work out the problems. And don't write too small. It's another favorite mistake. Writing so tiny that no one can read it. Okay, so just give yourself a break and slow down and write neatly, write legibly. Okay, bye. Page 110, fraction word problems. Not to be fearful, the word problems are laid out exactly the same as the examples, so we can learn and actually see the logic in the numbers and also the word problem itself. So the example, 16 cups, 16 cups, each kid gets half a cup. right? So 1 cup, 2 kids. Can you see that? So 1 cup, half a cup, 1 cup. So 16 divided by that half a cup equals 16 times 2 kids per cup, equals 32 kids get juice. Now the second word problem, or the first word problem to solve is the same. So we've got 1/3 flour is separated, so divided by, into 2 bowls. So you got 1/3 divided by 2, and then we multiply it, being that it's a division problem for fractions. We got 1/3 times 1/2, giving you 1/6. So the quantity of flour in each bowl is basically a half of a third, right? Because there's 2 bowls. You think of it that way. So 2 bowls become 1/2. You got 1/6 of flour in each bowl. 1/6, 1/6 is 2/6, which is equal to 1/3. So it works out perfectly. Go ahead and do the same with the next 2 problems. And leaving messages. If you get stuck on these problems, I can always do an extra video and put it out there to you on how to do all of these problems individually. But I'd like you to think about it. And the questions really help. So what operation works for the word separated, right? And do you see a pattern emerging amongst these problems? You'll see the pattern here. Okay, good luck. Next page. Page 111, more fractions, more word problems. Let's look at the bubble first, okay? Remember, of means multiplying. In the previous page, I asked you what separation might mean, and division was the correct answer for that. So in this problem, Jill has 3/4 of a gallon of milk, okay? 1/2 of this is used for dinner. So we're going to take 1/2 of 3/4 of 3/4 to come up with the quantity of milk used at dinner time. So 1/2 of 3/4, if you read the problem just exactly that way, equals 1/2 times 3/4. So you're going to end up with how much of a gallon is used for dinner. So 3/8 is the answer to that. Now Trish lives 4/5 of a mile from work, and one morning she ran a half of the distance. So you think about half the distance or 4/5, right? How far did Trish run? You have to multiply that. So 4/5 times 1/2. I'll let you do the last one on your own. Okay, these are getting more fun as we go on. Okay.